Hi everyone. This video will be the fifth and final in a series on how to do the required PHP update on a WordPress installation. So in previous videos I showed how to go through the process of updating a Debian server, and we do that so that we can actually get the proper package manager to update PHP. So we've been through all of that. Everything has been successful up to this point. However, with my installation, I noticed that there were a few problems with the PHP code widget that I have installed, so that I can run some PHP code within certain parts of my website. And so what I'll do is quickly show you what I'm talking about. I'm getting these error messages up here, the deprecated function, create function, and so that's causing problems. I'm also getting some warnings here. The simple XML load file, SSL operation failed with code, blah, 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 blah. So I'll show you how I went about fixing these things. And actually, what I'd like to do first is just kind of show you what plugin I'm talking about. That is, where are you? PHP code widget. And so when I ran into these problems, I did some searching online, and the developer, Otto, on his website showed us some ways of getting around this, which I couldn't really get to work. And I think that has something to do with the fact that PHP is not one of my stronger coding languages, so I kind of had to do some workarounds that work. They're not the worst thing in the world, however, they're not the best either. So I'll kind of go over that. So what I'd like to do is show you the web page that I first came to, and here somebody's telling us about the deprecated notice, and so what they're talking about specifically here is this up here. Now, for the most part, I don't think this is really going to break things. I don't think this is what's causing this problem here, but we should take care of it anyhow. The developer is telling us that we should stop using this widget because what's happening is we're storing that PHP code into our database. And he gives some good information on how to do this without storing your PHP code into your MySQL database. And he has some code here and some explanations, and I'm able to get this to work if I'm just using HTML. But again, PHP is not a language that I would consider I have a working knowledge and not a strong knowledge of it. So I suspect you can use this if you really know what you're doing with PHP. It will likely work, and it's probably the best approach. However, I couldn't figure it out. I have other things on my plate that I need to get done, and I suspect most people are in the same situation. So what I'm going to show you are the workarounds I'm using, one of which was actually posted here on this page. This person here had suggested implementing this change, and actually that's what I've done, and I'm going to show you how I went about doing that. So first I'm going to move this to the side, and I will open up my terminal here. And so the first thing that we need to do is we have to go into our plugins page. So for me, this is where all of my WordPress stuff lives, within the www directory. What we need to do is go into our plugins directory. So we will cd, oops, we don't need that, wp dash content, and then plugins, and then php dash code widget. And so we're brought into the directory for the PHP code widget. We'll just list the contents there. And we have a very helpful README. I would encourage you to read it. It's actually filled with really useful information. And so what we're going to do is edit this execute PHP file. So I'm going to use the nano editor, sudo nano exe. So for those of you that don't know, you can just start typing the name of a file and then hit tab, and it will auto-complete for you. And we'll go ahead and hit enter. So the instructions tell us that we need to change a line at the end of the file, really. So what's causing the problem is this create function right here. This PHP built-in function is deprecated, no longer supported. It's a very good idea to stop using it. So that's what we're going to do. And I think it does make sense to just write a little comment here saying, let's see. Let's see. This is PHP, so we want to use this to comment things out. I'm just going to say create. Jeez, I can't type. Function deprecated commenting out. Okay. So now that we know that this is no longer being used, so we'll just comment that all out. It's good to have a history of what's been going on. So what I'm going to do actually is just copy and paste rather than have everyone watch me type this out. So here's where the change happens, and what we're doing is we're changing this create function to an anonymous function, which is kind of a one-time use function. It is the best way to go about doing this. One thing I want to be sure of is I don't like the way those quotes look. So I think in my copying and pasting, some of the formatting's getting weird. So what I'm going to do is just delete that, and yeah, no, this is definitely what we want to do. So we're going to come through and we're going to replace the quotation marks with actual quotation marks. All right, so if we go ahead and Control X to exit, we'll ask to save the changes. Y for yes. We don't want to change the name, so we just hit return, and everything should be good there. So in theory, if we go back to our page, and this little warning here when we refresh should go away. Oh, and so we have an unexpected error. Let's see what the end of file. All right. So something that we just did is no good. Sudo nano. So we'll go back down, check this out, and yes. So we need to close that out with a semicolon. Pretty sure that's what the issue is. So Control X, yes. All right, so that should be good. Let's go back and refresh. And there we go. And so now that error message is gone. That's effectively taken care of. And again, I just want to point out that the developer really isn't pleased with folks doing it that way. But again, there's only so much time in my day, and this works. So I'm sticking with it for now. Maybe in the future I will figure out exactly how to go about what he's suggesting in his post and do a video on that. Okay, now we want to look at all of the warnings and notices that we're getting here. So there's a ton of stuff going on. Now I'm using an API to grab a lot of data to populate our hours. I noticed that the PHP plugin I'm using here, it works perfectly fine. It actually worked perfectly fine before changing the deprecated function. You know, that's fine. But in this case, this is something that other folks have kind of encountered with this sort of upgrade. So I thought it would be a good idea to quickly go over what I did to fix this. And what we'll need to do is go back to the terminal, and I'm just going to clear this out. And so this is tied to the OpenSSL package. And so we're going to have to edit that file. We'll do that with cd etc. What is it? I think it's SSL. SSL. Let's just see if what that gets us. Yeah, okay. So this is where we want to be. What we're after is this OpenSSL configuration file. We'll go into that with nano. So sudo nano OpenSSL CNF. Okay, what we need to do is find the line. Actually, to search using Nano, you can do Control W. And what I'm looking for is cipher string. We'll just use that. And that's right at the end of the file. So if you just want to jump down to the end of the file, that will work. And then what we want to do here, let's see, it's a CNF file, so we can comment it out using a couple of pound signs. So this here, honestly, I can't tell you what it does. My understanding is there are a number of Linux distributions that don't use this. Um, in any case, I need things working quickly. There may be better ways of dealing with this, but this is a quick and easy way to fix the errors that I'm encountering. So, Control X to leave now that I've commented things out. Y for yes, return. And technically, what we should find now is that this warning here will go away. It does look like it's tied to the execute PHP. So this is the PHP widget that we were just kind of editing before. However, the error is tied to OpenSSL. All right, so if we redo that, let's see, did I reload? Oh, I bet we have to restart Apache. So what is it? Sudo system control restart Apache 2. Okay. So now if we come back here and we reload the page, everything is working again. So now that that's gone, it's running through my PHP script and displaying the hours using the API that I used to grab our hours. Now, if you continue to have errors, one of the nice things that I had kind of discovered in the README file for the PHP plugin. So again, that's cd var www. Let's see, WP content plugins. What was it? PHP code widget. So, listing things here, you see the README text. You could have a look at that. Sudo nano README. And so there was actually, under this frequently asked questions, there's some kind of error on line 26. And so the developer is saying that error means your PH code is incorrect or otherwise broken. And they're right. I was getting lots of errors in this regard, and I think it was because I was editing my PHP script, trying to figure out, troubleshooting the problem, and in doing that, I kind of messed up the syntax, so I kept getting all of the errors. And everything was fine once I copied and pasted the old version of that code into the widget. So if you're encountering that problem, have a real close look at your PHP code. Make sure there are no syntactical errors, because, like I said, that really threw me for a loop, and probably a couple of hours worth of work that really wasn't worth going through. So that concludes everything that I wanted to show. I think at this point we have everything up and running the way it should be. So my website is now using the most current version of PHP. It's the most recent version of Debian. It's the most recent version of WordPress. I'm not getting any sort of errors up here. I guess, the last thing we want to do, in case you forgot, you need to go into this file here. So let's go into var www. Forgot what it was called. So again, it's this wp config that we set to debug mode. So sudo nano wp config.php, and then scrolling on down to the bottom, we just want to be sure that we change the WP bug to false, and this way people, if there is a problem, people aren't going to get information about your site that they probably shouldn't have. We'll control X, yes. So now we should be good. Everything is up to date. Let's see, one last look. Site looks good. Go through my links. So far, so good. Looks like we're in good shape. And in the dashboard, just redo things. Not getting any sort of error messages. So I hope you found this series helpful. If you have your own insights to add, please do so in the comments below. And if this is generally speaking content that you're interested, please consider subscribing to my channel. I want to thank everyone for watching. Take care.